I'm excited to talk about this next team.
Yeah, let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, in years past, there have been expectations for them, and they have not lived up to it. Since 2017, when Case Keenum went on a miraculous run, the Vikings made the move to go sign Kirk Cousins and thought that was a move to take him over the top. To this point, only one playoff win, have missed the playoffs in multiple seasons back-to-back now. And really, it's can we trust the Vikings to take over the NFC North this season? Last season, they were 8-9. They had 8 losses by 1 score. Mike Zimmer gets fired, though, and now Kevin O'Connell is a new head coach coming in, and it's going to be offense, all in on offense this year. So do you think this is the year that the Vikings do take over the NFC North?
No, unfortunately not. I do still have my worries about this defense. They made some really good moves this offseason trying to definitely help out this defense that needed help after last year being one of the worst defenses in the league. You add Zadarius Smith, Jordan Hicks to the front 7, that's huge. You draft Louis Cine to play alongside Harrison Smith, who Harrison Smith's getting up there in age. You know, Harrison Smith's going to be that vet that's going to teach Lewis some things, how to hold down that safety position. The defense definitely could be improved, but then you go and you look at the secondary. You have Pat Pete playing the cornerback, and he was pretty bad last season. And you have Cam Dantzler, who's not that horrible, but they really they do lack depth at the cornerback position. And ultimately, in a pass-first league at this point in time, unless you're the Ravens, of course, and you throw in the Eagles out of respect. That being said, you got to have a solid secondary, and Minnesota just doesn't have that as of right now, and it does worry me. To go through their record, their schedule really quick, I have them, like I mentioned earlier, I have them beating Green Bay week 1. I have them losing to Philadelphia week 2. Week 3, I have them beating Detroit. Week 4 versus New Orleans, I have them winning. Week 5 versus Chicago, I have them winning. At Miami, I have them losing. Now they have their bye week. Versus Arizona, I have them losing. At Washington, I have them winning. At Buffalo, I have them losing. Versus Dallas, I have them losing. Versus New England, I have them winning. Versus Jets, I have them winning. At Detroit, this is a loss. Versus Indianapolis, this is a loss. Versus the New York Giants, I have them winning. At Green Bay, I have them losing. And in Week 18, I do have them beating Chicago at Chicago for a 9-8 record.
9-8.
Now, I kind of want to go next on this, Joe.
You're my guest.
Minnesota.
Special place.
I love me some Minnesota sports. The Minnesota Vikings, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who just signed Kyle Anderson. Big time signing, needs some wing depth to help my man out, Anthony the Ant-Man Edwards. The Vikings, I want to believe in them. I really do. 8 losses by 1 score last year. Last season should have been the season that they proved me right.
100%.
But I haven't sold my entire stock on the Minnesota Vikings. This team can easily win the NFC North this upcoming season. Last year, 14th ranked offense, 24th ranked defense, though, under a guy who we view as a defensive guru in Mike Zimmer. They were 28th against the pass, though, 26th against the run. But the great thing about this team is that it's a brand new coaching staff. Mike Zimmer took all the life out of this team. The Vikings players have talked about how it's a much different environment now. Kevin O'Connell has brought life to this team. Offense coordinator Wes Phillips, defense coordinator Ed Donatel, and he's been the defense coordinator the past 3 years for the Denver Broncos. Now coming to Minnesota, they're going to run a 3-4 scheme, and they have the personnel to do it. You have your linebackers in Eric Kendricks, Jordan Hicks, who's very good in coverage, and you have good run stoppers and pass rushers. You have Zadarius Smith, who you signed, who if he stays healthy, next to Danielle Hunter, that's one of the better edge rushing duos in the NFL. You signed a guy, Harrison Phillips from Buffalo, who's one of the better run stoppers in the NFL.
For sure.
You still have Dalvin Tomlinson. And then you add Albert Wilson, a wide receiver for depth on the offensive side. Irv Smith Jr. is healthy, and he's a guy who has a lot of talent but just hasn't been able to figure it out yet.
Yeah.
But these are the two things that are really holding me back from going all in on Minnesota. The offensive line is still a question mark. They're bringing back the same guys outside of, it's basically the same guys, but you're hoping Christian Darrisaw takes a step forward from his rookie year and is now a very good starter for you. And defense, it just depends on health. Daniil Hunter hasn't been the healthiest. They just brought in Darius Smith, who was hurt all of last year. So their defense depends a lot on health, and they did improve the secondary, but it's not something that really moves me.
Agreed.
Dantzler's really good. I like Dantzler.
Okay.
Patrick Peterson, is he at least going to be a solid corner? We'll see. And then they drafted Andrew Booth Jr., who has a lot of talent, but he's not great in press. He sags off a lot. He gets his hips turned a lot, but he is a very good and aggressive tackler. He does have the physical tools to be good, but will the NFL game be too fast for him? That's to be determined. And Lewis Seen, who they drafted in the first round out of Georgia, who's a very hard-hitting safety, very fast. He was a pivotal part in Georgia's defense last year on that national championship run. So they made improvements there. What I'll say about the Vikings, I'm pretty sure Justin Jefferson might have the most productive wide receiver season this upcoming year, because Kevin O'Connell, coming from the Rams, is going to play him like Cooper Kupp, a lot of mismatches. And Kirk Cousins, he's my guy. He's Captain Kirk. He's my dude.
He's no Matty Staffy.
Kirk Cousins is somebody who gets so disrespected because he's not flashy. Can he extend plays? That's not in his game. But can he run an offense effectively and do what the coaching staff tells him to do? 100%. In Minnesota, he's had Kevin Stefanski as an offense coordinator, Gary Kubiak, then Gary Kubiak's son, Clint Kubiak. And through all these years, he's had his best seasons. 124 touchdowns, 36 interceptions, 16,387 yards, 68% completion percentage, and a 103.5 passer rating. He's played like a top 10 quarterback. And in Kevin O'Connell's offensive system, which is basically Sean McVay's offensive scheme, all he has to do is run the offense effectively. And that's what he's going to do. He's not going to be asked to extend or do any of that. If the offensive line can hold up, I love this team. Jettas, Thielen, Osborne, Albert Wilson is the depth guy. Irv Smith Jr., Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison.
Don't sleep. I know you sleep on Alex. You sleep on Alex.
Minnesota has a chance to be the best team in this division, and I wouldn't be shocked. But ultimately, I think their schedule is a bit tough. You do face Green Bay, who I think they split. Philadelphia isn't a slouch. You have to face the Saints in week 4, but it is a home game, so that helps. But the Saints aren't slouches, and the Saints are going to have one of the better defenses in the NFL. Miami isn't a slouch. You face Arizona week 8 when DeAndre Hopkins is scheduled to come back. So that's not a slouch, because now you're going up against DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown. Is your secondary going to hold up? Buffalo, you face them. You face Dallas. You face Indianapolis. This isn't an easy schedule. But ultimately, I think they do have enough games in the schedule that are winnable. And I have them at 11-6, 10-7. I will say they go 11-6, and it's going to be a tiebreaker between the Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. So I say 11-6, and I have them as finishing with the same record as Green Bay. So I think it's going to be a toss-up. They can win this division, and I hope this is the year they do it, because they have a really good roster. But we have to see if Kevin O'Connell can get the most out of his roster.
That was a beautiful soliloquy, bro. You really broke that team down very well.
Thanks, dude.
Good job.
Thanks.
The one thing that I don't have much to add on. You talked about every position. But the one thing that kills me is whenever people talk about Justin Jefferson playing the Cooper Kupp role, like he just put up 100 catches, 1,600 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I think Justin Jefferson's going to have a very similar season. So the only way he gets in even that conversation is going to have to break like 2,000 yards, because Kevin O'Connell, I'm excited for him, but I don't think Jetta's role changes much, right? Like he's obviously
Jetta's going to Jettas.
He's my favorite receiver in the league. I think he's the best wide receiver in the league too. I think after this season, most people are it's gonna be consensus that he's number one. Jamar's gonna be right there without a doubt.
Thank you for throwing
Faye's
respect
still gonna be there, and Cooper Kupp is still probably gonna get at least 1,500 yards.
Yeah.
I have them going 10-7. Like I said, they're a game behind the Packers, so it just takes a game here or there for it to change my mind or to go the other way. But at the end of the day, I'm just taking Rodgers on the floor over Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell, first-time head coach. That's really the tiebreaker for me. The Packers also just have the better team all the way around.
Outside of the receiving room and stuff.
Yes, yeah, of course, which is obviously very important. We saw last season, every team except 2 had an elite option of some kind. So I'm excited to see this Vikings team, what they look like. I saw Jettas say, I'm happy we're not a run-first team anymore, Dalvin Cook's still going to get 20 carries a game, so I don't know exactly
Yeah.
what he's talking
And
about.
let my boy get in the passing game too.
Yeah, which he will. Of
I
course.
mean,
more than
Look,
happy
that's
with
a great point, though, because Mike Zimmer was a conservative head coach, and he loved to run the ball. Now switching to a pass-happy offense, this is going to help Kirk. It's going to help those weapons, and it's going to help the offensive line as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is this is the switch that they needed to make because they've had great weapons.
Yeah.
So going all in on the run never made much sense, even though Dalvin is great.
Phenomenal.
But this is a pass-happy league.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you win in the NFL by passing the ball.
And Kirk could get it done.
He can. More than capable. He's a captain.
We're going to have to see. We're going to have to wait and see about that.
He's a captain. Captain Kirk.
Two of the best teams in the league coming up. Here we go.
It's crazy
All
because
right.
Kirk's the highest paid player, and I'll tell you what, I'm taking a lot of players, and a lot is strong, but I'm
the
taking
highest
play
paid?
on his team.
Oh, facts.
I'm
Well, Jed is on a rookie contract.
taking a few guys over.
Dalvin's a running back.
I mean, Dalvin. Give me Dalvin.
I'm not taking Dalvin over Kirk Cousins.
I would.
I'm not taking a running back over a quarterback.
Dalvin's
Especially
a
a
different type
top
of guy.
15 quarterback.
And then we're talking about a
That's
top 5
crazy.
running back.
Yeah, that doesn't change anything.
Arguably top 4.
We just saw the
arguably top
Colts.
3.
We just saw the
Arguably.
Colts have a top running back and missed the playoffs because they didn't have the quarterback. With the stacked roster.
And Minnesota has the quarterback. Missed the playoffs too. So
A horrible defense. If you have an average defense
disagree.
and a top 15 quarterback, you're not missing the playoffs. You're not. The Vikings were bottom 20 defense.
well, I mean, I don't know. Let's just go to the next topic.
What would you rather? Dalvin Cook or Kirk
That's such a
Cousins?
weird question.
It is super weird. I'm just
'cause
saying in terms of who is a better football player. I don't know. I
It's a
feel like,
quarterback and a
I
running back. They're doing
know,
completely
but like
different
Kirk
things.
and I guess I understand what you're saying.
The
but
value of
even
a
still.
quarterback is just
like
supersedes a running
of
back.
course.
How much is
no
Dalvin
doubt.
getting paid a year?
Not that much.
Yeah.
I think 12.
I was going to say it's not more than like 15. Kirk's getting, what, 30? We just had an extension.
5 years,
actually.
63 million. He's getting 12.6 a year.
That's a steal. That's valid.
He's so good. He's so
But yeah, I mean,
good.
Kirk Cousins, like, I could find a running back. Like, I'll take
Of
Kirk
course,
Cousins,
I get it.
Yeah, it's easy. Just start Alexander Madison.
I was gonna say because you said in all aspects, and I thought about it like maybe the running back group of the Packers, maybe you take over them because A.J. Dillon has like a defined role in their offense. But then you remember, oh wow, Alexander Madison almost every single time he plays, it seems as if he has 100 yards.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe it's a little bit more.
No,
of a
I think
conversation
Aaron
than we
Jones
think.
and AJ Dillon clear that duo.
Clear is insane given the fact that
I don't think it's
Dalvin
I don't
is
think it's insane either.
Dalvin is definitely better than Jones and Dillon for sure.
AJ Dillon clears Alexander Madison.
For sure, no doubt about that. But
There's a sizable
Alex-
gap.
Alexander Madison is definitely not a bum. Nowhere near the word bum. He's more close to really good as opposed to being sorry.